Overdrive this week, a big exclusive, the first Indian TV test of the new flagship Ferrari. A first drive of the new Honda Amaze Diesel. Is this the car that keys Honda's comeback in India? Auto Selector with Bert. And all this week's motoring news. Hello and welcome to Overdrive. I'm Shireen Bhan. This is a show that you don't want to miss. We're starting off with action from Maranello. Since 2008, Ferrari has been trying to upgrade its product portfolio, starting with the California, then the 458 Italia, followed up with its first four-wheel drive GT car, the FF. Now it's the showstopper in this collection, the new V12 supercar, the F12 Berlinetta. Sandeep Shrikant is one of the lucky few journalists in the world to get an opportunity to drive this supercar. Take a look.
A visit to Maranello is a once-in-a-lifetime experience. The village is defined by its most famous resident. Enzo Ferrari opened a factory at this small Italian village in the early 40s, and in the 70-odd years since, the prancing horse has quite literally painted the town red.
It is a bit cruel to bring a petrol head to Maranello on a short visit, but thankfully I've been here once before in 2008, and that's a good thing because today I have my hands full and I really can't afford any distractions.
The reason for my nerves, the jittery hands, and the 4 shots of espresso this morning, only the most powerful production Ferrari ever. The latest, and if you believe the initial reports, one of the greatest front-engined V12 Ferraris ever built.
Feast your eyes on the F12 Berlinetta, the stunning end product of almost a century's worth of heritage and the very latest in automotive racing technology.
We've all drooled over pictures of the F12, but in the metal, this is a vastly more dramatic car with its large front grille, clean lines and unfussy scoops. It's also a stunning blend of style and aerodynamics, especially hued in the new signature Rosso Berlinetta. The designers at Ferrari and Pininfarina set out to create the F12 by subtraction, generating downforce by removing rather than adding more wings and appendages. A great example of the new philosophy is the aero bridge. Sculpted channels on the bonnet guide air through the aero bridge and towards the flanks, setting it free near the tail lamps. A simple and elegant solution that adds a mind-bending 76% more downforce than on the 599 GTB without compromising on the looks.
My favorite part of the car is the rear. With the stylized tailpipe layout, massive diffuser and rear brake light, all direct visual links to Ferrari's F1 program in a road car. Fabulous.
As with every new Ferrari, the workmanship and materials used in the cabin are top-notch, and the seats manage to achieve a great balance between comfort and sportiness. Like the 458 Italia, the steering wheel wears all the driving controls, including the magnetino, engine start button, lights and wipers. Ferrari says this is to ensure drivers keep their hands on the wheel at all times. There's even enough luggage room for Joe Millionaire to head off on an overnight holiday with his supermodel girlfriend. And to reinforce the F12's Grand Tourer credentials, it even has a working and reasonably unfiddly sat-nav system with Bluetooth audio connectivity.
Ferrari says that since owners will tend to spend a lot more time in this car, the cabin is a lot more luxurious. But if you do get too comfortable, there's an instant solution. Just listen to that engine.
Ferrari's essence, the very core of any flagship Ferrari, is a V12 engine. So while all its competitors are downsizing or turbocharging, the Ferrari boffins have been refining, fettling and updating the naturally aspirated 6252cc 65-degree V12 power plant. I will always remember the first time I heard this engine fire up. Really, there is no eloquent way for me to describe it to you right now without a long think, but suffice to say that I still have the shiver in the base of my spine, and every one of my senses have been on red alert ever since. Epic soundtrack aside, the F12 is remarkably easy to drive at slow speeds. It doesn't overwhelm you with its size, visibility is good, and the incredible engine, which makes 690 Newton meters of torque, allows you to drive through towns in high gears with the box on automatic, planning your $1,000,000 merger. But entertain no illusions about this engine's true intentions and ability. 740 horsepower. During the long flight here, that's all I could think of. 740 horses waiting for me to make a mistake. But you know what? The F12 isn't actually that terrifying. I've been driving along with the Magnetino in race mode and I'm not a nervous wreck. That's not to say that this car isn't insanely quick. It is, after all, the fastest Ferrari ever made. And acceleration, it's instantaneous. You feel that surge of acceleration all the way down your spine. And the best part is, you don't really have to worry too much about being in the right gear either, because there's a ton of torque on offer just whenever you need it. With 80% of maximum torque available from 2000 to 6500 RPM, 0 to 100 from a standing start takes 3.1 seconds and 200 comes up in a frightening 8.5 seconds. The new 7-speed dual-clutch gearbox is lightning quick and so seamless that Ferrari actually had to engineer overboost before and after the changeover to transmit some sensation to the driver. This engine then is undoubtedly the ultimate evolution of V12 power, at least until the new Enzo comes along. The F12 is a very different car from the Ferraris of yore. Even its predecessor, the 599 GTB, was a car that rewarded the great drivers and snapped hard at the novices. But all of the advanced driving aids and F1-inspired technology that's gone into this car has gone in with a purpose, to allow lesser drivers to unlock more of this car's potential without making it snap their heads off. The F12 is smaller than the 599 in every dimension, while also being 70 kilos lighter and lower to the ground, further improving aerodynamic efficiency and achieving Ferrari's ideal 46-54 front-rear weight distribution. And Ferrari didn't stop there, also revising the steering system, adding new magneto-rheological dampers, and upgrading the torque vectoring and e-diff to harness the 740 horses and deliver the power in such a usable way to the rear wheels. The most interesting thing for me about this car is the steering. First up, it's only 2 turns lock to lock, so you never really need to let your hands off the wheel. And the other interesting thing is just how light it is. Much lighter than you'd expect from a car with this much presence and power. And it's not light in an Indian sense either. It is light, but it is also so precise that you can't afford to be too reactionary. It says to you, go out there and get carried away in the moment, but remember to modulate your reactions and enjoy every bit of feedback you get. Make the adjustment and the F12 is remarkably rewarding to drive. There's even a bit of understeer engineered in to allow almost anyone to push hard without getting wild-eyed and white-knuckled with fear. But turn off the electronics and the Berlinetta is almost immediately more temperamental, invoking those healthy doses of fear and doubt in the driver that makes driving a supercar so incredibly addictive.
The F12 really is an epic automobile in almost every respect imaginable. The looks, the power, the presence, the intimidation factor, the luxury, the surprising drivability. Everything about it is epic, including the price tag. But the one thing I will take away from Maranello today, most of all, the thing that will haunt my dreams for the next ever so many weeks, is the sound. The visceral, full-bodied, rapturous sound of a V12 Ferrari howling up a hill. The sound. The sound. The sound.
Well, you can read more about the FF and the F12 in our latest edition of the Overdrive magazine. It's out on newsstands. It's time now for us to take a quick break. When we return, Bert answers your queries on Auto Selector and we wrap up all the news from the world of auto.